Have you ever thought that a war film could have no heroes? All Quiet on the Western Front is like that. It tells the story of a young boy named Paul. He joins the army because of a few words from his teacher. He thinks war is an adventure. But the film shows you, in a very calm way, the battlefield is not about fighting, but about waiting to die, not about charging, but about shaking with fear. The film does not make the enemy into bad people. The enemy also has a face. The enemy also has a frightened expression. This film does not shout slogans. It only shows the true face of war, not cool, not handsome, just wearing away young lives little by little. During the First World War, in a small town in Germany, a teacher speaks to his class of young boys. He tells them they must fight for their country. He says that fighting is a great honor and that every good young man should join the army. The boys feel proud and excited. They think war is something brave and wonderful. They believe they will return home as heroes. The main character is Paul. He is about 18 years old. He has 3 close friends from the same class, Albert, Muller, and Ludwig. One day, they all decide to join the army together. They laugh and run to sign their names. They do not ask their parents first. They put on new uniforms. The uniforms are too big for them, but they do not care. They feel like grown men now. The boys say goodbye to their families. Paul's mother is very sad. She cries and does not want him to go. She says the war is dangerous. But Paul tells her not to worry. He says he will come back soon. He thinks the war will end quickly. He is completely wrong. The boys go to a training camp far from their town. A strict soldier named Himmelstas trains them. He is not a kind man. He has a loud voice and likes to shout. He makes the boys run for hours. He makes them crawl through thick, cold mud. He shouts at them even when they do nothing wrong. The boys do not like him at all. However, they learn to follow orders. They learn to clean their guns properly. They learn to march in straight lines. They learn to put on gas masks within 10 seconds. The training is hard, and their bodies hurt every day. But it is still not real war. Real war is much, much worse. Soon, they are sent to the front line. The front line is where the actual fighting happens. They travel on a crowded train. The train is full of silent soldiers. No one laughs or sings. When they arrive, they step off the train and see a long, destroyed field. There are holes in the ground everywhere. There are no houses, no trees, and no birds. Only mud, holes, and broken things. The sky is gray, and the air is cold and smells strange. The boys look at each other without speaking. They begin to understand that this place is nothing like their school or their home. The soldiers live in long, narrow holes dug into the ground. These are called trenches. The trenches are always wet and cold. It rains often, and when it rains, the trenches fill with dirty water. The water often reaches their knees. Mud is everywhere. It is thick, heavy, and sticks to their clothes and boots. The soldiers sleep in the mud because they have no real beds. They only have thin, wet blankets to cover themselves. Their food is old bread and cold soup. The bread is so hard that it hurts their teeth. The soup has almost nothing in it. They do not have clean clothes. They wear the same shirt for weeks. They also have lice. Lice are very small insects that live in clothing and bite the skin. The bites itch terribly. The soldiers scratch all the time, but the itching never stops. War is mostly waiting. The soldiers wait for hours and days. Sometimes nothing happens for a long time. They just sit in the trench, listen to the silence, and wait. They listen for loud sounds because loud sounds mean an attack is coming. When the loud sounds begin, everyone gets ready. They hold their guns and put on their helmets. Their hearts beat very fast, and their hands become sweaty. An older soldier helps Paul and his friends. His name is Cat. Cat is perhaps 40 years old and has a kind face. He knows how to survive at the front. He can find food when there is no food, such as a hidden chicken or some leftover bread. He always shares what he finds with the young boys. Cat becomes like a father to Paul. Paul feels safer when Cat is near. But in this war, no one is truly safe. One early morning, the enemy attacks. The sky suddenly becomes bright with explosions. The ground shakes violently, and the noise is deafening. Everyone runs to their positions. Paul holds his gun, but his hands are shaking. He cannot make them stop. He sees other soldiers running and hears people shouting. He cannot see the enemy clearly, only smoke and bright lights. The smoke is thick and hurts his eyes. He shoots his gun again and again. He does not know if he hits anyone. He simply shoots because everyone else is shooting. After some time, the attack stops. Everything becomes quiet again. But the quiet feels strange. The ground is covered with new holes. The air smells of smoke and burned things. Paul looks around. Some soldiers are hurt. Some soldiers are not moving. The young boys from his school stand still and silent. They do not laugh anymore. Ludwig, one of Paul's friends, is badly hurt. He lies on the ground, crying in pain. There is no doctor nearby. The other soldiers can only give him water. Ludwig drinks a little, but soon he stops breathing. Paul watches his friend die. He feels completely empty inside. He does not cry. He just sits next to Ludwig for a long time. He learns that death is very common here. Death is not special anymore. Between the attacks, there is a lot of waiting. The days are long and boring. The soldiers play cards with old, dirty cards to pass the time. They also write letters home. Paul writes to his mother. He tells her that he is fine, that he eats well, and that he sleeps well. He does not tell her the truth. He does not want her to worry. The soldiers talk about their homes. They talk about the food their mothers used to cook. They talk about their old rooms and the rivers near their towns. Sometimes they laugh at a joke, but the laugh is not a happy laugh. It is a tired laugh. Muller, another friend, asks Paul about his boots. Paul is wearing a good pair of boots. The boots belong to a soldier who died last week. Muller wants the boots when Paul dies. This sounds very strange to anyone who has not been in a war. But in the trenches, this is normal. Everything is shared, and nothing is wasted. A dead soldier's boots go to a living soldier. A dead soldier's coat goes to someone who is cold. This is how they survive. One time, Kat and Paul leave the trench to look for food. They find a farm near the front. The farm is empty, but there is a goose in the yard. Kat catches it quickly. They take the goose back to their trench, and Kat cooks it over a small fire. They eat it together with Albert and Muller. The meat is hot and delicious. It is the best meal they have had in months. For one short hour, they forget about the war. But the good moment ends very fast. The war is still there, waiting for them. One day, a big fight breaks out. Paul runs and falls into a large hole. The hole was made by an explosion long ago. When he looks up, he sees that he is not alone. There is an enemy soldier in the same hole. The enemy soldier is also young, about Paul's age. His face is dirty, and he looks afraid. Paul is afraid too. Paul has a small knife. He acts first. He fights the enemy soldier and hurts him badly. The enemy soldier falls down and cannot move. He is bleeding. Then Paul stops. He looks at the enemy soldier's face. He sees that the enemy soldier is just a young man. Like himself, the enemy soldier will die soon. There is no doctor here. Paul gives him water from his bottle. The enemy soldier drinks slowly. The enemy soldier reaches into his pocket and takes out a small picture. It is a picture of a woman and a child. He shows it to Paul. The woman is his wife, and the child is his daughter. He has a family. He has a home. He is not just an enemy. He is a person. Paul looks at the picture and thinks of his own mother. He feels terrible. He says he is sorry. Many times. A few hours later, the enemy soldier dies. Paul stays with him until the very end. He closes the enemy soldier's eyes and puts the picture back in his pocket. After that day, Paul is never the same. He understands that the enemy is just a person. The enemy has a mother and a father. The enemy has a family. The enemy wants to go home. The enemy is exactly like him. After many months at the front, Paul is given a short leave. He can go home for a few days. He is happy to leave the trenches. He takes a train for many hours. When he finally arrives home, his mother is overjoyed to see him. She cries and hugs him, but she looks much older. Her hair has more gray, and she is sick. Paul sits at the dinner table. His mother serves his favorite food, but the food tastes like nothing to him. His mouth is used to old bread and cold soup. He tries to eat to make his mother happy, but it is difficult. That night, he tries to sleep in his old bed. The bed is too soft. He cannot fall asleep. He gets up and sleeps on the floor. The hard, cold floor feels normal to him. He visits his old school. He sees the same teacher standing in the same classroom. The teacher is still telling young boys to fight for their country. Paul tries to tell them the truth. He says war is not good. He says the trenches are cold and wet. He says they will watch their friends die. But the young boys do not believe him. They call him a coward. Paul feels completely alone. No one at home understands him. His mother tries, but she was not there. His old friends try, but they were not there either. He does not belong in his hometown anymore. He does not belong in the war either. He belongs nowhere. So he returns to the front early, before his leave is over. The war is the only place he knows now. When Paul returns, he looks for his friends. Albert and Muller are still there. Kat is away for a while, but will return soon. The war continues as before. The attacks are even worse now. There are more explosions and more loud noises. More soldiers die every day. The food supply has become smaller. Each soldier receives less bread and thinner soup. Winter has arrived. Snow falls on the mud, turning it hard and frozen. The soldiers wear only thin coats. They shake from the cold and cannot feel their fingers or toes. Some become sick, but there is no medicine. One day, Muller dies. A small piece of metal hits him in the chest. He falls down and calls for help. Paul runs to him and holds his hand, but Muller dies within a few minutes. Paul takes Muller's things and gives his good boots to Albert. This is how they live. One soldier dies, and another takes his boots. There is no time to cry. The war keeps moving forward. A few days later, Albert is badly hurt. His leg is damaged in a loud explosion, and he cannot walk. Paul carries Albert on his back for a long distance to a field hospital. The hospital is a large tent filled with wounded soldiers. There are not enough beds, and some soldiers lie on the cold ground. There is not enough medicine, and the doctors are exhausted. Paul stays with Albert for a few days. He brings him water and holds his hand. Then he receives orders to return to the front. He says goodbye to Albert, not knowing if he will ever see him again. Now Paul has only one friend left, Kat. All the others are dead, wounded, or gone. Kat is still strong. He still knows how to find food. And he still tells small jokes to make Paul smile. Paul stays very close to Kat. They dig trenches together, stand guard together at night, eat from the same plate, and sleep side by side under the same blanket. Kat is like a father, a brother, and a best friend all in one person. Paul feels a small amount of safety when Kat is near. One day, Kat is hurt. A small piece of metal hits his leg. The wound looks small and not very dangerous. Kat can still walk. He puts his arm around Paul's shoulder, and they begin walking toward the field hospital. The hospital is about 2 miles away. They walk slowly, with Kat leaning on Paul. They talk a little as they walk. Kat says he will be fine after a few days of rest. Paul feels hope. But on the way, Kat stops walking. He says he feels strange. Then he falls down. Paul thinks Kat is just tired. He tells Kat to rest for a minute. But Kat does not move. Paul touches Kat's face. Kat's skin is cold. Kat is dead. The small piece of metal hit a small blood vessel. It was a tiny thing, but it was enough. Kat died in just a few minutes. Paul did not even notice. Paul carries Kat's body the rest of the way to the hospital. When he arrives, he places Kat's body on a table. Then he walks back outside. There is no need to stay. Kat is gone. Paul sits alone outside the hospital. He has no friends left. All the boys from his school are dead. His mother is sick. His home does not feel like home. He has nothing. Only the war. Only the mud. Only the waiting. Only the cold. He is 18 years old, but he feels like an old man with nothing left. It is near the end of the war. Everyone knows that the fighting will stop very soon. There is talk of peace between the countries. The soldiers hear whispers that in a few days they will be able to go home. They will be able to sleep in real beds and see their families again. But the generals on both sides want one last attack. They want to fight until the very last hour. They want to say that they won the final battle. So the young soldiers must fight one more time, one more attack, one more day of fear, mud, and loud noises. Paul is very tired. He does not care anymore. He feels no fear and no hope. He feels nothing. He simply walks through the trench. The morning is quiet. The sun is coming up, and the sky is light blue. There is no smoke today. Then he sees something. A small white butterfly is sitting on the edge of the trench. It moves its wings slowly in the sunlight. Paul looks at the butterfly. He reaches out his hand. He wants to touch it. He wants to feel its soft wings. He does not think about the war. He does not think about the past or the future. He only looks at the small white butterfly. Then a sound is heard. A single sound. Paul's hand stops moving. He falls down slowly. He lies on the ground at the bottom of the trench. His face is calm. He looks at the sky. The butterfly flies away. That day, far from the trench, the army writes its daily report. The report says, "All quiet on the Western Front." One line. That is all. The report does not write Paul's name. It does not say that he was young. It does not say that he had a mother who loved him. It does not say that he liked the butterfly. It only says that everything is quiet. The story ends there. There is no happy ending. There is no celebration. Only the quiet field. Only the empty trenches. Only the memory of the young boys remains. They left their schools and their homes and never came back.